It's not easy to win a Melbourne Cup. I'd ridden Rogan Josh only once prior to winning the Melbourne Cup, which was on the Saturday before, and he was 25-1 going into the Melbourne Cup. After speaking with Bart, my thoughts were clear on how I had to ride Rogan Josh. I knew we had barrier 23, and I knew we only had 50.5 kilos of very light weight, and I knew in my own mind after winning on him on the Saturday that we had to go forward and put him into a nice forward position, because I don't think I could have gone back in the race and won. So my tactics were clear in my head what I needed to do. Sitting on Rogan Josh's back in the barriers was my most tense moment. Things are running through my head. I'm wondering, from barrier 23, are the riders inside me going to make life difficult for me to get across? That was my biggest hurdle. It's an 800 metre run to the winning post the first time, but it's critical to get across and not be caught wide. If you're caught wide in the Melbourne Cup, your race is pretty well over going to the post the first time. I'm in the barriers now, and there's a lot of noise. The crowd are going wild. I can hear them calling out for their favourite horses, and I'm waiting for the starter on his stand, and he's going to call out all clear before he presses that button. But to my amazement, the crowd goes silent. There's deafening silence. You can hear a pin drop, and then I hear all clear, and I hear the gates crash open as he presses the button, and Rogan Josh leaps out of the gates. And then for a moment I hear the roar of the crowd, but then as quick as I heard them, I'm zeroed in, I'm zoned into what I need to do. I need to get across and save ground early in this race. I'm overwhelmed because there's a lot of jostling, there's a lot of rough tactics going on, and I've got into a prime position. I'm extremely happy. Now we're going out of the turn the first time, and I've asked Rogan Josh to fire up and be aggressive and attack this race, but now I've got to ask him to do the opposite. It's 2 miles or 3,200 metres. I need him now to switch off and relax and get into a nice rhythm. Otherwise, if he over races underneath me, again our race is shot. So the next half of the race is literally getting him to switch off and relax. To my amazement, as soon as I dropped my hands on Rogan Josh, he knew what to do. He bowed his head and he just relaxed underneath me, and it gave me the luxury to just come back a little bit away off a hot speed, let one go around me and give me cover. Now it's a matter of just relaxing him for the rest of the race, because I know when I get to the 800 metres that this race is going to hot up again, which it does. We get there, and I know the front runners in front of me are getting tired. They've done all the hard work. They're starting to feel the pinch. The chances behind me, they're going to start to come around shortly. I've got to be careful I don't get caught behind horses dropping back. So I ease Rogan Josh out, and I can hear them coming around me. But Flemington is such a long straight, you can't let your horse get to the front too soon. Those back markers will mow you down. So I've had to pull him out, and as soon as I gave him daylight, I could feel him. He wanted to go, but I had to say, wait Rogan Josh, it's too early. It's still too early. As we straighten up, I know that long straight is definitely a downfall of a lot of riders. So I'm waiting, I have to wait. There's a famous clock tower at Flemington, 150 metres out. Bart's drummed it into me. We don't go until we hit that clock tower. We hit the tower, and I lay it all on the line. Let's go, boy. Let's go. Let's go for broke, which he does. I gather in the leaders. Now I'm worried, is something going to come over the top of me? But to my amazement and joy, nothing does, and I know right on the line that I've nutted Central Park, and that's the greatest moment of my career. My first emotion, well, it's more like an explosion of emotions. The pressure now is off because I've achieved a lifelong dream, and I remember slumping on Rogan Josh's neck and giving him a big hug and a pat. And I remember my good mate Frankie Dettori, who ran second. I'd just beaten him, but being the sportsman he is, he came up and gave me a shake of the hand, and I pulled Rogan Josh up and turned him around. And once I saw John Letts on his pony Banjo coming towards me to interview me, I knew that now this is real. And it was almost like an air escaping out of my body, the joy and the ecstasy that overcame me, that to realise that now this is truly for real. And John came up and interviewed me, and it was the most special moment, I think, in my career.
With John Marshall.
Yeah, fellas, I got Johnny Marshall here, John Well, the Melbourne Cup for JB Cummings.
Mate, it's a dream come true. There's no question about it. It's every jockey's dream to finally do it. It hasn't sunk in, but I know it's building.
It will, and John, there's a lot of people to thank. You know, Bart's had the confidence in you, hasn't he?
Well, on and off he has,
yes.
But
I remember trotting Rogan Josh back into the mounting yard, and along the laneway where all the roses either side of you and the crowd's cheering, and I know going out onto the track they were cheering for the horse that they backed, but coming back in on Rogan Josh they were all cheering for me. 110,000 people on the day, the noise was deafening, and I remember taking my goggles off and throwing it into the crowd. And then as I took Rogan Josh into the winning stall, there was Wendy Green, his owner, and Bart Cummings, and the smile on their face was just enormous. And jumping off Rogan Josh and taking my saddle off and knowing that we'd achieved something that's a piece of history and something that's part of Australian culture, and it's a lifelong dream, and now it's been achieved.